I'm recording this in 2024, a year into the October 7th war. I don't like the way Jews all over the world have to hesitate and worry about if it's okay to wear their Star of David. I ordered a Star of David t-shirt. I said to myself I was pissed off. I was gonna wear this every time I went out. But then I didn't wear it when I went to meet my mom for lunch because I didn't want to put her in danger. Anti-Zionists say history didn't begin on October 7th, but then they don't explain what they mean. How far back do they want you to go? Maybe they want you to go back to 2007, when Israel and Egypt imposed a blockade to control what goes in and out of Gaza. Or they want you to go back to 1967, when Israel began the occupation you're always hearing about. Maybe the anti-Zionists want you to go back to 1948, when 700,000 Arabs were displaced because 7 Arab nations attacked the Jews. Context matters, so we're going to go all the way back to the 7th century. 1400 years ago, Islam began. The Jews had been doing their thing for a couple thousand years, and then Muhammad did some revisionist history and claimed the Jewish Holy Land for himself and his followers. That's at the heart of the matter. If you're wondering what is the real reason for all this, it's because he appropriated all of Jewish history and tradition and its holy places. The holiest place for the Jews is the Temple Mount. Islam claims that for itself. That's supposed to be the place where Muhammad went on his night journey, visited heaven. The Temple Mount is in Jerusalem, the holiest city for Jews. Jerusalem is the 3rd holiest city for Muslims after Mecca and Medina. But it's in the Holy Land, the promised land. It was promised to the Jews. But then, according to Islam, the Jews were disobedient 3,300 years ago in the book of Numbers. And as a result, they fell out of favor. And now that land is supposed to be the inheritance of the followers of Muhammad. A lot of people don't even know the reason for the land conflict. Allah says a lot of bad stuff about Jews in the Quran, but let's set that aside for now. The stuff Muhammad said about Jews in the Hadiths was even worse, but let's set that aside, even though those are teachings of mainstream Islam, Sunni and also Shiite. But let's set that aside. As terrifying as it is when a scary cult goes after a specific group of people, let's set that aside. The fact that Muslims believe they'll be fighting an army of Jews led by Satan in the end times, we can just set that aside for now. The reason for the land conflict is because that land is special to the Jews, and Islam is a hijacking of Judaism, like it's Pan Am Flight 73. It's a hijacking of Judaism. That's why the Quran has a revised version of Jewish history. Does that change the way you think about this land conflict at all? The fact that it creates serious doubts for Muslims to see a prosperous Jewish state in this promised land that Muhammad said is promised now to his followers. Israel is wealthy, and then a lot of majority Muslim states are impoverished and unable to defeat Israel militarily. All throughout history, when Jews were conquered and driven out from one place or another, when they were driven out of the Holy Land, that sort of thing was interpreted to be a sign that they had fallen out of favor with God. And when Islam was expanding across the Middle East and having a lot of success, that was interpreted as a sign that they had God's favor. So it's tough to take if you believe that your dude was telling the truth about you being the new stewards of the Holy Land, and then you see that it looks like God kept his covenant with the Jews instead. It's important to remember that Islam has many schools of thought. Many Muslims don't think like this. The point of deep anti-Zionism is never to find Muslims guilty. It's to find Israel innocent. If your anti-Zionist friends have got you pointing your finger at Israel, then you won't be able to help be part of a real solution, because Israel is not the cause of the problem. For as long as we fixate on Israel, we can't be part of any meaningful solution. And life is happening now, so it matters what we do. The Klansmen burn crosses on black families' lawns, but there was one family called Israel that was too tough and too determined and courageous and smart. They couldn't be driven out. So the Klan cries, "This black family stole our land," and half the world is still falling for it. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is not the kind of situation where someone stole someone's land. It's the kind of situation where an ethnic majority tries to expel an indigenous minority group, and they don't succeed, so they tell everyone this minority group stole their land.